Hey guys, it's Matthew here once again, and there's nothing like some good old-fashioned Discharge. This time, self-cast version. It's been a while since I've tried a self-cast Discharge, but it did have a pretty big revamp this league, or this big starting patch, and it's actually pretty damn good and viable in a playstyle, in cast on crit, in self-cast, in ignite. Overall, Discharge itself seems to be in a decent spot at the moment, and as you can see here, it's got a pretty fancy new microtransaction, the Celestial Discharge, and I'm sorry, I'm going to have to say it, you pretty much need it to play Discharge because it's so much better than not having the micro that it's actually disgusting. It's like borderline pay to win, just how much it feels like it adds to your area and the just explosion. It's a bit unfortunate, but that's what it is. In any case, this is a self-cast version as an Inquisitor, and I'm trying to utilize all three charges. I was a little bit hesitant about making self-cast Discharge because I figured it'd be pretty clumsy on a playstyle, but did have some inspiration from a staff and then decided to go ahead and pull the trigger. And the idea is to have a bunch of power charges that get converted to endurance charges, as well as generating frenzy from Blood Rage or a frenzy chest, and then popping off for one big explosion. Now, as you can see, there is quite a lot of lighting going on here, quite a lot of additional explosion and how do we put it? Flare? Glare? Bloom? I don't know, but you can definitely tell that we light up the room every single time we pop off, and it's yeah, gonna be a bit intense, so you might need to bust out your sunglasses for this build if you're gonna try and copy some of this. And if you sit in a pretty dark space typically, then it's going to be rough on you because there's a lot of area in this build, and the MTX really does cover the entire screen if you pick up enough area from the tree like I have, and just kind of saturates the entire screen, the game. But if you don't have the microtransaction, I will say that it becomes a lot less about the Discharge itself and a lot more about the Herald of Ice we're currently using, and the screen's quite a bit cleaner in that sense. So for pure performance wise, yeah, you probably don't want the microtransaction because you'll actually be able to see things without it. But you can see here that we run around, we use Stormbrand to get our power charges going initially, and then you can just discharge pack to pack and clear entire rooms. And this is the Flare Discharge microtransaction I was just trying out for chat as well. But it's pretty damn good for farming these heists and the XP farming and stuff, and my character's not at all thick at the moment. I'm still just like leveling through some gear and using some weird gear like the hoops just for leveling purposes, and I've got like minimal amounts of defense and stuff, but I basically never take damage, never get hit, and it's still pretty damn smooth because all we're doing is like running into packs and detonating the entire screen. It's been a pretty safe playstyle, even though you are completely in the thick of things. Like the most dangerous thing is something like this Tall Breach, where you're just constantly running into enemies and you can't really constantly discharge over and over again because there is a 2-second cooldown on it, and we've got a bit of cooldown recovery to make that better, and also second wind, so you can have 2 discharges go off right after the other. But it also helps to recover your charges quicker using a second wind. So second wind is for our mapping setup, and we do want to use that for mapping pretty much all the time because it's pretty pivotal to have that second charge if your first charge doesn't kill something, or if your first charge just doesn't cover enough of the screen, let's just say. But once you get more area, then it becomes less of a problem. But there's still plenty of room for growth in this character. I will make it tankier so it can actually take some hits. Hopefully, maybe, possibly. I don't know. I can't promise anything because we're definitely going for the big one-taps. But so far, so good. Still a little bit of a baby character. We'll see how it goes in by the next video. But for now, let me show you what I've done with it so far. There is our current character, level 82, called BJ Made Me Discharge. Someone in chat and basically gave me the inspiration for the build for Inquisitor Discharge, and then also because of staves like this one. So this is a new base type from the, goddamn, this fucking stone golem, from the Heist League, and it's +1 max power and max endurance charges, which is pretty damn good as an implicit, but it's a war staff, so it's really hard to roll anything useful for spell builds. So what we did was buy a +1 and +2 sort of fire, cold, or lightning staff, and then make sure that there's nothing else on it by using some annuls and wiping suffixes, that sort of shit. So it was pretty cheap to start, but then it was a bit of RNG to get it to this stage, and then you could multi-mod it into something like this. I'm not sure if it's going to be strictly better than a staff that could instead do, for example, an 80 crit implicit, and then also +3 with some other good stuff. But this is what we got, and it seems to be working out so far just fine. Can't really give you any tips on how to craft this thing, since I just picked up the base and then had to get lucky with some annuls and stuff like that. But regular staves I think should work out just fine as well. Don't even have to go staves, you could go like dual void batteries technically, and go an assassin route, something like that. But we went Inquisitor because I am trying to utilize all 3 charges, and for that, elemental equilibrium won't really be too beneficial unless you use something like an admiral chest, which possible, but gets us a little bit more tightly wound for our gear requirements. So we use currently for the 6th link here, Divergent Discharge, which is chance to deal damage without removing charges, and then I've also got that as the helm enchant. I'm not that convinced we really need this, because it is a bit awkward at times, because with the Vol's Devotion, your power charges, once expended, turn also into endurance charges, and sometimes if you've just got your power charges up and then you discharge, and these things proc, it doesn't consume the power charges, so then you don't get endurance charges back that second time. And it seems to be pretty reliable to just get our charges back anyway through the Stormbrand setup. So having to make sure we keep some of our charges, I'm not sure is that crucial, but for now, that's what I've got and that's what I'm using. So it is Divergent Discharge for that 10% chance, and then also the helm enchant, but currently, Discharge, crit strike support, at this point it's not really doing much. My crit is like 100% and pretty overcapped, so we'll probably get rid of that soon. Second Wind, that's what lets you discharge twice and also reduce some of your cooldown. Power charge on crit, which is just at the moment 32% more damage. Empower level 3, which is turned into a level 4 in this setup, and then crit damage at the moment. So that will change. I'll probably end up using something like Energy Leech, Hypothermia for the swap over Second Wind for boss fighting, maybe Conk Effect for bosses, maybe Increased Area for clear. Not really sure where I'm going entirely with the links yet, but that's what I'm using. I got 2 Crapular Hoops just for leveling purposes, and I haven't yet replaced them, but I absolutely will. Like I said, Vol's Devotion, now that is to turn our power charges into endurance charges. So currently I have a maximum of 6 endurance charges, I believe. Yep, 1 there, 1 from the Anoint, and 1 from the Staff. So 8 power, 6 endurance, and we're going for 4 frenzy at the moment. And frenzies come from 10% chance to gain frenzy charge on hit chest, as well as Ice Bite attached to our Stormbrand, and also you can use Blood Rage up until then, which I did for a long time, but now I'm sustaining enough that it doesn't really matter. And the way that Stormbrand gets us our charges is through power charge on crit. It's an anomalous version, so that gives even more power charge on crit. So it'll be pretty damn reliable for every single tick to give you a power charge. And ideally for boss fights, I'm pathing over to Runebinder so that I get 2 Stormbrands on the enemy boss. And that should send me from like 0 to 8 power charges damn near instantly. And then likewise get my frenzy charges going quite a bit quicker too. The frenzies aren't the most important part of the build, they're a bit of an afterthought, but if we can squeeze them in, then by all means it's worth doing, and I will hope to get just that little bit more damage out of that. So the Stormbrand setup, it's now in these gloves, but Doesn't have to be, and you can easily just put it in a 5 link or a 6 link in the chest. But the gloves just have some cast speed attached to them, so that ticks a bit faster. Currently it says it's ticking at a rate of 0.24, so 4 attacks per second. If you get 2 of them up there, that's going to be 8 attacks a second, and that means that we should, in theory, generate about 1 frenzy per second, but maybe there's going to be high rolls or low rolls. The Stormbrand is attached to Power Charge on crit strikes, so it damn near guarantees the crits, and then Ice Bite, just so it freezes stuff when we use it, because I do use it quite frequently when I'm mapping, running around, throwing out the Stormbrands and then the Discharges, and it also gives us the Frenzies at the same time. We then got some cooldown recovery boots, bought these for ADC, but shouldn't be too hard to roll. It's not that important to get cooldown recovery, I don't think, but I'm trying to maximize the comfort of the playstyle. And then a belt with reduced flask charges, and you can craft your own cooldown recovery, as long as it's got a spare suffix. You can get up to 20 on a proper shaped belt, but you can get a good belt like this for like 3 chaos and then just craft it on there yourself anyway. Then you get a helm that is at least eye level 75, and put a Warlord Exalt onto it, and then you just try and craft a +1 power charge helm through alts, chaos, essences, delve, fossils, Alk Scours. I got it through Alk Scours in the end, had to annul, slam, etc. So yeah, the important thing here is +1 power charge. That's probably the hardest thing to do on the build, because it is a fairly rare mod. And that's about it there. Got a Cinder Swallow, Diamond Flask, Quartz. Quartz is pretty important just so you can phase run through everything before you do the big discharge. Currently using Herald of Ice and Vitality, though I will fit in Zealotry as well. We got Flame Dash, Arcane Surge, Faster Casting. That's just for our little bit of movement. Might try out Lightning Warp though. And then Assassin Mark, just self-curse at the moment on some bosses. You then have the passive tree, pretty damn basic, just a very normal spell-looking passive tree. Pick up all the charges though. And then we're an Inquisitor, which has, of course, crit strikes, ignore enemy monster Ellie resist, so that all of our damage does all of our damage against every target, and then just the sort of consecrated stuff. It's still a bit of a work in progress, but it should pan out rather nicely, I think. Currently dealing about 1 million damage on the discharge, but on the top end, when we're fully geared up and use the right links, it's probably going to be closer to like 5 to 10 million average hit, and then hopefully we can pop off 2 of them and make it a pretty clean bossing playstyle. I have to wait and see, but I've got high hopes. Hope you guys enjoyed this little video on Discharge, self-cast version. Thank you very much for watching, and see you next time.